Hi everybody, this is Paul Brooks, once again on a Saturday afternoon here in my kitchen. Just like last week, beautiful day outside here in Southern California. Sun is shining, uh, light breeze, mid 70 degrees, maybe up to 80 degrees today. But again, uh, to do my part, I'm staying indoors, staying separated from my neighbors. And I thought, well, maybe I'd do another video for you today. I got such great response from the audience last week on the video I made about how to make ice cream in a little plastic bag. If you haven't seen it, look elsewhere in this feed. Check out my video from last week and you can see my instruction for how to make ice cream just in a plastic bag. But I thought today maybe I would do another video, show you how to make, this is really the recipe that got me away from box mixes. And if you allow me, maybe I'll tell a short story first. A little background. When I was an RA at Cal Poly University, just down the street here from where I live, my friends used to come over to my apartment when I was an RA because I had a big apartment, a lot of space. On the weekends, we'd watch television or play some games. And I thought, well, I should be a good host. I should at least have something to eat on or munch on. So I remember one time I tried to make brownies. Borrowed my roommate's toaster oven that he had there. Used whatever little broiler pan came with the toaster oven, put it in there, and it turned out okay. Make the brownies. Remember, I then talked to my grandma about this. It's like, oh yeah, I tried to make brownies. It turned out okay, and well, being at least my sister and I call her Mimi, being very Mimi-like. The next week, I got a little care package from her with not just a box of brownie mix, but a brownie pan and a whisk, and with little notes say, "Oh, hope you enjoy making some." So next week, I made some more brownies for my friends when they came over, and they loved it. And that was all fun and great. But I guess the epiphany happened one day, you can say, when I came back from classes, came back from my work as an RA. I was really tired, and I was too tired to do much anything, but I just didn't feel like sitting down and watching television. So I went to my kitchen, found one of those boxes of brownie mix, mixed up the brownie mix, baked it in the toaster oven, took it out, and I was like, I don't even want to eat these. I'm too tired to eat these. I just left them on the counter and went to bed. But as I'm falling asleep, I'm asking myself, so why don't you just waste that box of brownie mix? And I thought, well, I guess to me, it was relaxing as a way to kind of relax, but without going to bed. So I did that. And then two questions came to my mind almost at the same time. Number one, if you really enjoyed the making of the brownies, why are you using a box? And the second question that came almost simultaneously, can you make brownies without a box? How difficult would that be? Well, anyway, I thought on those questions, fell asleep. Next day, went to the cabinet and pulled out, there it is, pulled out this cookbook. Again, same grandma had given this cookbook to my sister when she was first learning to cook, and I think then my other grandma gave it to Grandpa, because he never was such a big cook, but could barbecue, but not really cook. Apparently he didn't really use this, and according to the note here in the front, apparently Grandma signed this over to me in January 2010 to Paul Hyatt from Grandma. So I guess I've had it never once then. And so I decided, I flipped through here, and lo and behold, sure enough, a recipe how to make brownies, or a brownie sundae without a box. So I thought I'd try it. I did, and I realized, yeah, you can make brownies without a box. And if that's what I enjoy is the making of it, forget the box. So this recipe that started all, after this I went elsewhere, I've done other things, and I've learned so much more about baking, and I do that regularly now, as people are aware. So again, I thought I'd share this recipe with you, show you the recipe that made me kick the habit of box mixes, and perhaps it's something you can do. As before, again, mise en place, again, the French phrase meaning to put in place before we start baking. always get your equipment, your ingredients measured out and ready to go. Avoid mistakes, so maybe number one tip. So what we need for this recipe, put up the ingredients for you. We need 2 ounces of unsweetened chocolate. We need a quarter pound, that's 1 stick of butter, 2 eggs. We need 1 cup of regular old granulated sugar, half cup of flour, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and just a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And also, I'll save it for a little bit later, but I'll also show you a couple variations of this recipe, and I'll mention where you can put that in, maybe kick this up a little notch if you're interested. One variation really popular with kids, something that's really attracted to them, and maybe the other one, maybe something you save for the adult crowd, something that if you gave to kids might have them bouncing off the wall. But all right, so here we go. Step 1, anytime you're baking, turn on your oven, please. Turn on the oven. For this recipe, preheat your oven to 350 degrees, which I've gone ahead and started here. And let that heat up while I get everything else made. Again, I thought I'd use my toaster oven this time to pay homage to that time making brownies in the college dormitory. Second, we're going to get our baking pan. Again, this is the baking pan that Mimi did send me in that care package. So again, perfect size. This is 8-inch square, 2-inch deep. Either grease your baking pan either with butter or I have this baking spray. Shake it up, and I like to do this over a sink to catch any mess that you might have. Give it a generous spray, and grab a little section of paper towel and smear it all. Particularly, make sure you reach into the corners. Perfect. Next, we're going to use the first little trick of this. That is, grab our chocolate. Again, this is unsweetened chocolate. If you haven't seen this before, this is not sold near your candy. This is sold in the baking section, maybe near the chocolate chips. Unsweetened chocolate normally comes in a bar or little things. Here you can see this one's nicely proportioned. Each of these proportions is a 1/4 ounce of chocolate, so it keeps measuring really simple. So 2 ounces of chocolate. I'm just going to roughly chop this. We don't need to really do too much because we're just about to go ahead and melt it, but just roughly chop it to help it melt a little easier. And we're going to scrape that chocolate off the cutting board into a small microwavable safe bowl. Yes, you heard me say microwave. Again, normally, if you're going to melt chocolate for a recipe, you're going to melt a lot. You can set up a double boiler on the stove, and for most of us that means take your pasta water pot, put it on the stove, put a small glass bowl on top, get the water to a boil, then turn it down to a simmer, put the chocolate on top, let it melt. But we're paying homage to the time in the dorm, so we're going to use what I hear called Chef Mike to give us a hand here. So chop that chocolate in the bowl. Also, 1 stick of unsalted butter. And this is nicely softened already. It's been out here on my counter. But again, if it's not softened for you, that's quite all right. The microwave will do that. Again, same thing as with chocolate. Just chop it into rough pieces and place it into the bowl with the chocolate. All right, pop it in the microwave. And in total, we're probably going to cook this maybe 1 to 2 minutes, but I'd suggest starting at every 30 seconds. Check, give it a little stir. We're looking for it to be melted. We don't necessarily need it to be hot because we're going to have to let it cool down afterwards. So save yourself some time, keep an eye on it, get it melted, but maybe not necessarily hot. So again, 1 to 2 minutes, check every 30 seconds, and just give it a stir. All right, that was just about a minute in my microwave at my speed. That looks just about perfect. Nicely melted, nicely silky. Just going to stir it till it's smooth. And then just set it aside. We're going to let it cool a little bit. Again, we don't want to add it to our egg mixture later and scramble it, so it does need to cool a little bit. So I'm just going to let it sit here on the counter while we work on the main portion of this recipe. All right, next we're going to do the main portion of the thing. For that, we're going to need 2 eggs. So grab your eggs, crack them into your mixing bowl. Grab our whisk over here. Again, break up the yolks a little bit. Just get the mixing started. Just something quick. Next, we're going to add 1 cup of regular old granulated sugar. Add that to the eggs. And again, whisk this by hand until combined. Trick I learned from Grandma. She found one time in a magazine when I was visiting her in San Jose. She found this recipe for Mexican chocolate cake. Essentially a cakey brownie baked into a cake, but had a little bit of spice added to it. And I thought that was wonderful. It was one of the best cakes I had had. And I thought, well, why not put it into this recipe? It is to die for. It tastes so good, and it's such a great way to make an adult version of a basic brownie. So if you want to do this, and this is optional, you'll need to find a couple specialty ingredients. First, ground cinnamon. We're going to do a 1/4 teaspoon and measure this into our 1/2 cup of flour that I have here already. So just measure out about a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Second, we're going to get ourselves some instant espresso. Yeah, I said, yeah, don't go for something super fancy, just whatever they have in the store. For me, it says instant espresso coffee. Good idea for any recipe, not just brownies. If you're going to add flavoring or leavening to your cake batter, it's much easier to add it to your dry ingredients. Stir them together first, get them evenly distributed before you put it into your batter. I'm also at this time, I'm going to add just 1/4 teaspoon of table salt as well. I'm going to mix that in. Okay, here's my eggs. I've let it sit for a moment on purpose to let that sugar dissolve a little bit more into the eggs. I'm going to stir in just a 1 teaspoon vanilla extract. Again, mix that in. I'm going to take my flour mixture again and add this in to the top. And I'm going to switch over to my rubber spatula. And once you add flour to your cake recipe, your brownie recipe, it's best to stir as little as possible. That'll leave that affects the texture of your final product, and this just gives a little better texture. So don't have to go too fast, but just be a little more gentle. Scrape what's on the bottom of the bowl as you're going. Make sure you're getting it there. All right, that's almost all the way incorporated. Chocolate is cooled down just a little bit. So I'm also just going to add this in. Rubber spatula is a great tool for this because it allows you to scrape down all that chocolate out of the bowl and add it to your batter. Right? And now again, we're going to just mix just enough till we don't have any more streaks left in the bowl, but not working carefully not to overmix. Maybe there's 1 streak left remaining in there, but that looks pretty good to me. So grab over my pan, prepared pan that we sprayed earlier with the non-stick cooking spray, and just pour in that brownie batter into the pan. Use the rubber spatula. Make sure you scrape down all that chocolate goodness. If you got some kids at home and you want to leave a little something for them to have, but for me, I'm just going to try to get everything I can out of that bowl and into the pan. Great. That's perfect what it is. So my oven is preheated. 350 degrees. It's been preheating while I've been preparing. We're just going to pop this into the oven. Definitely don't want to over bake brownies. It's a lot easier to add a little bit more time than it is to add less time once you've been baking. So let's say about 25 minutes. We'll give it a check, and then again, also at that time, I'll show you our next little trick to try to improve the flavor, give it a little even more coffee flavor. So 25 minutes, I'll check back with you. In the meantime, I'm going to get clean up the kitchen, and I'll get back to you in just a few minutes. All right, welcome back. There's just about a minute or so to go left on the bake for the brownies, then we'll check them out. But I wanted to come back because we got to get a few things ready for the brownies to come out. First, get out my cooling rack, get that staged and ready to put the brownies in when they come off. And next is the second part. I talked about that little secret ingredient if you want to give these brownies just a little push up. And that is this guy, a little bottle of coffee liqueur. And again, I'll show you in just about a minute what we're going to do with that. But get yourself your coffee liqueur if you'd like, a little dish, and a pastry brush. Pour out, open this up, pour out maybe a tablespoon or so of the coffee liqueur. Have that standing by here as well. All right, there's our time. Open up. Before we pull it all the way out, we'll just pull this drawer out a little bit, take a toothpick into the center, pull out again, comes out clean, perfectly done. Use a hot pad or a dish towel, bring it over to your dish rack. Oh, I wish you guys could smell what it smells like in the kitchen right now. It smells perfect, smells like a little bit of coffee, a little bit of chocolate, a little hint of cinnamon in the background. But anyway, while the pan of brownies is still hot, take your coffee liqueur, dip your brush in it, and you want to brush all over the top of your brownies as they're coming out of the oven. Again, that heat and the coffee liqueur hitting it, the aroma comes off. That heat is going to evaporate off most of the alcohol in this liqueur and leave behind that really rich flavor that goes really well with the chocolate. And give it a little good dusting of the liqueur. If I seem to remember right, Grandma Zarka used to do this. I think she also used to, when she made this as a cake, using the other recipe I spoke about, she used to open up the oven about halfway, 2/3 into the baking, give the cake layers a quick brushing, put them back in to finish cooking, and again, brush them when they come out. So I'll let you be the judge, whatever your fancy is. Anyway, generous brushing here of the liqueur. I think that's enough for me. And a trick I've learned for myself, rather than waiting for it to cool, just take a knife, and we're just going to help it along the way so we can unmold it from the pan a little easier. I'm just going to run this butter knife around the edges to loosen those up just a little bit. It's going to make our life easier when we try to unmold this from the pan. All right, edges are nice and loose. We'll let this sit here, maybe 10-15 minutes before we try to unmold. All right, stick with me, I'll be back. All right, we're back. It's been a few minutes. The brownies still a little bit warm, but definitely cooled some. I know you can't see right now, but they've shrunk a little bit in from the sides of the pan because we ran our knife around the outside just after we pulled them out and before we brushed. They've shrunk a little bit. That should make it easy to release, but I don't know, things never go well as intended on camera, but let's give it a try. Put it on my cooling rack, flip it upside down, and perfect. Clean pan. All right, I'm going to try to carefully flip this back over to the top. Again, that's still a little warm, so maybe I'll let it cool just a few more minutes. then we'll give it a taste, see how it is. All right, be back, see you in another few. All right, it's been just a few more minutes. Brownies have cooled down some, but still just a little bit warm to the touch. Perfect. I think we should cut them up, don't you? Let's grab our cutting board, slide this over to the cutting board, grab our knife, and we'll cut it into, I'm thinking maybe I'll get about 9 out of this. A little generous size. So 2 cuts across, 2 cuts the other way. Leave this nice sized brownie. We see that inside just about perfect. At the inside, still a little bit moist and definitely still warm. So let's see how these taste. That is a perfect brownie. Again, so simple to make, so easy to do. Reminds me of the time that I made these in the dormitories at Cal Poly Pomona. It was a rainy day. Everybody was inside. I guess it was a weekend or a holiday. A lot of people inside. I was like, well, rainy day, what else am I going to do? I was going to make these brownies, go into the kitchen. There was another group in there. They had got some of those break and bake cookies, or that cookie dough in the log from the store that you just slice up and bake. So I said, okay, yeah, you guys finish and I'll go in next. I'm just about to get started. Another group comes in and they were going to make a sheet cookie. I guess they had prepared some cookie dough or got something. I'm like, okay, you guys go in. So they went in, and after they all got cleaned up, I came in. I made these. By this point, it's raining outside. It's cold, but the smell inside the kitchen is just warm coffee, cookies, chocolate. Smell delicious. So there I am. Brownies are cooling on the outside. I was over outside the kitchen because the kitchen we had was maybe about even half the size of mine here in the apartment. And some people were coming in. They opened the front door. They were talking to each other. Oh yeah, how we do? And they just stopped. You just saw them turn towards the kitchen and just ran there. And they're just trying to open the oven. Like, no, don't open the oven. My brownies are baking. He's like, no, but we gotta have some. Well, I couldn't resist that. I think after I pulled them out, I invited them over. They had one, but definitely worth it. Got that little edge on the outside, moist in the middle. Perfect. Brings back memories of Grandma's Arcas, where I first had the recipe like this. A couple other tips I think I mentioned. Again, for these, basic brownie recipe, but we added, if you remember, into the flour mixture that instant espresso coffee and the ground cinnamon. Stirred that in there before we add it to the egg mixture, and also just as it came out of the oven, I brushed it with that coffee liqueur. Again, great, but maybe if you got kids, maybe that'll be a little too wired for them. So maybe instead of coffee, if you get little chocolate mints, like the soft type, have a layer of chocolate, a layer of mint. Andes mints come to mind, or mint meltaways, something like that. After you pour the batter into the pan, then we take a couple of those mints, chop them up, and either fold them in, or just push the mints down into the pan, and that might be a great treat, something that kids would like. Also, I know many people, including myself, love the little crisp edge on the side of the brownie. They do sell those brownie edge pans, but again, you're going to do that just to get 2 edges on your brownie. I say forget that. Use what you already have in stock, such as muffin tin, or this little dessert pan that I get to make that I normally make my brownies in, also Mimi's, or my grandma on my dad's side, apple crunchies. I think they're perfect in this pan. They stay together, a little less crumbly. Perhaps that's a recipe I'll have to show you guys. If you're interested, I don't know, let me know. Maybe we can make up some apple crunchies. But again, don't go for the brownie edge pan in my opinion. Stick with muffin tin. Just pour your batter into the muffin tin, bake it, and you can end up with that brownie edge. But again, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope I've showed you something that it is possible to make brownies out of the box and with little customizations you can add. Maybe you too. Maybe you'll be like me. Never go back to box mixes again. Again, that would for me. I guess you say the beginning of the end. I learned to bake, got some equipment. Again, Grandma gave me some of her equipment as well, and now it's what I like to do. I love to share that with you. Again, please, during this time, make sure take care of your family. Stay home if you can. Stay safe. But remember, it's never a bad time to make a batch of brownies. And who knows? Have some friends come over. You want to impress them a little bit. You could show them this recipe too. They'll be impressed. Think that you're the greatest person ever. But between you and me, just keep the secret. Simple, straightforward. And probably something you already have. Probably only have to go buy the Baker's unsweetened chocolate, and you'll have everything you need. All right, everybody. Take care. Anything else you want me to see, let me know below. You enjoy this video? Again, let me know below. Give me some comments. Great. Hope to see you next time.